Good afternoon, Florida Panthers fans. Welcome back to Prize Picks on 5. David Eversole joined with a special guest today, Alex Baumgartner of the Fifth Line, 5 Reasons. Going to talk some Prize Picks NHL and specifically the Florida Panthers, give you some oversight on just how to play Prize Picks in terms of NHL action and some of our players to watch. What's going on, Alex? Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, David. I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah, no, this is really cool too. Obviously, the Panthers are off to a great start and working so closely with Prize Picks throughout the different sports seasons. It's exciting to kind of mix it up a little bit and talk some NHL with you today. So appreciate you joining us and want to just get right into it. So tell us a little bit about the Prize Picks NHL format and some of the things you look for in terms of selecting players for a given night.
So PrizePicks NHL format has a couple different ways you can play. You can go with goals, points, shots on goals, goals allowed, and then they would also have fantasy scores that's closer towards game time. I like taking shots because it's pretty easy to see which players, just looking at past games and looking at their
Mhm.
lineup, which players will most nights hit the over on the shots. And the biggest thing for me is look at the top power play unit for that team and kind of just like see who's the best players on the ice. So for the Florida Panthers, they have a stacked power play one unit. Even though they don't score, they can generate a lot of shots. And the guy that entire offense runs through is actually a defenseman, which is Aaron Ekblad. So I usually take Aaron Ekblad on the over. And Prize Picks is very nice at keeping the over pretty
Mhm.
low on him at 2.5.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been really getting a lot of activity, obviously, manning the point on those power plays and even strength, obviously, as well. So, what are some of the things you look for in terms of goaltending, whether it be shots against or goals allowed? I know you like Ekblad over 2.5 shots tonight against Colorado. I think that's a good pick. So, what are some of the things you look for in the net? And then I'm going to give my pick for tonight as well.
Yeah, so goaltending's tricky because sometimes the best goaltender might not make you the most money. And that's just because it depends on the team he plays on. It depends on the defenseman in front of him. So if you look at the Panthers, they have a pretty solid defensive unit. And the last two games, they've only given up, I believe, one goal each game. So, like, that can happen. But then game one for the Panthers, Bobrovsky faced about 44 shots. He let
Mhm.
4 goals in, but if you took him on the over for the saves, I doubt the number was anywhere near 40. So it's the goaltending is kind of tricky. Kind of have to look at the matchup, how that team faces up against the opposition, and what team the goalie's going against, who's going for their top forward lines.
Yeah, and on that note, actually, I went over tonight against the Panthers with Darcy Kemper with Colorado. He struggled a little bit in the first few games. The last two, I think he gave up 5 and 4 goals. And with that high-powered Florida offense, I think he's going to give up more than 3 goals. So I took him over 3 goals allowed tonight against the Cats. So just one of those things, like you said, you're looking at matchups, you're looking at those key guys, and I'm a little disappointed so far in Barkov and Huberdeau in terms of their Prize Picks production. Obviously, Barkov had the big goal in the last game, but what do you think's going on with Huberdeau in that second line in terms of just generating some chances?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't take Huberto often in shots on goal for Prize Picks. He could eat shots up in certain games, and as we've seen the last 3 years in his career, he is over a point per game player. But a
Mhm.
lot of that's coming from assists. Huberto is a guy that will make a pass when you don't expect it, and it works for the team. Now, if you're trying to get him on the over for shots on goal, it might not always be the best. However, I look at Sam Bennett because Sam Bennett is on that line with Huberto, and oftentimes Bennett scored a hat trick just a couple nights ago, hit 6 shots that night too. He gets close to that 2.5 mark. He's hit it over twice, I think, this season, and then he hit 2 last game. I would say that's a safer bet than taking a
Mhm.
Huberto at +3.
Yeah, I agree. And Barkov, he's kind of hit or miss in terms of getting shots on goals. But like Huberto, he's a all-around player and somebody who can give you good fantasy scores. Which, like you said, those tend to come out closer to the game. And it's always important to keep checking back with the board throughout the day because the numbers not only change, but they're always adding and taking away players based on injuries and things like that. So I'm looking for maybe like a half point fantasy point total for like Barkov or
Yeah.
Huberto. And obviously a goal or assist would cover either one of those. So before we wrap it up, any last minute tips or strategies in terms of getting acclimated with the Prize Picks board?
Yeah, so when I first played Prize Picks, I almost hit the triple on my first time. You can play the triples, triple parlays, stuff like that, all in, all out. But what I would look at is don't necessarily take the best player every night or take the best player on the best team, because the Panthers are such a stacked team that they're moving the puck very frequently. Now, I looked at Elias Pettersson. I think his over was 4 on shots, and that's pretty high for a prize pick.
Mm,
He hit 6 the night I took him on the over, and it's because on Vancouver for the power play, he is the main source of offense, and he is the offensive juggernaut for that team. Whereas the Panthers, you have 3 lines where there could be a different
mm.
top player. Like Anton Lundell was the best player for the Panthers in their last game, where Elias Pettersson is probably going to be the best player for Vancouver most nights. So I'd look at that.
Yeah, and you look at somebody obviously like a Connor McDavid with Edmonton and a few of those other guys. And you got to kind of go off the grid a little bit. I've been looking at teams like Calgary who just put a ton of shots on goal and the opposing goaltender and looking at their save total. I think Mike Smith the other night with Edmonton, his line was 28 and a half saves, I believe, and he had like 45 saves in that game. So you can look at those matchups, and even if they're not really teams that you're familiar with, you can just look at the trends and see what these teams are doing in terms of a night to night matchup and maybe think outside the box a little bit on some of those plays. But so you like Ekblad tonight over 2.5 shots against Colorado. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going to
my pick for tonight.
yeah, he's been solid. He's been over that, I think, in every game. So I've been playing that as well until they move that number up to 3 or over. I'm going to keep smashing that as well. And for me, I'm going to take the opposing goaltender Darcy Kemper over 3 goals allowed against the Panthers. I think the Panthers continue to roll and put another victory on the board. So before we go, I want to thank Alex and everybody for watching. So where can we follow you on social media and tell us what you got going on, Alex?
Yeah, so you can check me out on Twitter at abaumgartner91. You can also find me at the Fifth Line 5R Twitter. I do all the game updates, score updates, stuff like that. And normally on Wednesdays, but I think we're doing In the Box tomorrow every week on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel right here. Make sure you subscribe now and turn on the notifications because you can see my show In the Box with Alex weekly.
That's great stuff. And I look forward to joining you on that show as well. And make sure if you're new to Prize Picks, sign up using promo code 5FIVE. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys later.